Let's talk world building. Hi, I'm Jacob Brickman, author of the Arikala Academy series. When working on building an entirely new world, there are 4 areas to consider: plot, theme, practicality, and vibes. The plot part can be done pretty easily by answering the following question: where are the events of your story going to take place? When I started focusing on the world building of Arikala Academy, I already had some basic plot points mapped out for each of the 3 books. I knew I needed the statues representing the 3 houses, as well as the dormitories for them. I knew I needed some school buildings where the characters could learn about sorcery, literature, and mathematics. And I knew that there needed to be a gymnasium for one of the battles to take place in. These were my starting points that I could expand from. Secondly, I focused on theme. How could the setting help to establish some of the messages my story was telling? One of the key themes in Arikala Academy is camaraderie, the idea that working together is better than working alone. And so I set up the 3 houses to be on friendly terms. None of this one house is clearly good and another is clearly evil nonsense. Instead, each house represents a positive ideal. So while the house dorms are separate, they're evenly spaced, and there are lots of communal spaces where members of each house can interact and study together. Third is practicality. I'm a teacher, and I'll be honest, I'm a little tired of stories where the schools are terribly dangerous, even in adult fiction. I approached Arikala Academy from the perspective of the real world, thinking to answer this question: what resources and buildings would be necessary for a real magical school? A few things were obvious, like a big cafeteria for students to eat at, a library with all sorts of books and study rooms, an administration building for the counselors, principals, and other administrative staff necessary to keep a facility like this functioning, multiple classroom buildings, and even a staff dormitory so that teachers could live in an appealing place close to campus. I wanted to make it a school where parents would want to send their children because it was considered safe. The last consideration is the vibes. Sure, I wanted to create a school that feels somewhat realistic, but I also wanted to make sure it felt like a place that was magical, fun, and more than anything else, unique. Since Arikala Academy is supposed to have been established 2,000 years prior to the start of the series, there are a number of buildings and structures that are just old, with some still being around and others just straight up ruins. Students and teachers over time have reclaimed some of these areas, putting out picnic tables and benches to hang out at, while others remain abandoned, rarely visited locations. While things are safe, there is still an air of mystery and magic. Talking statues that make life a little more interesting for students, secret tunnels scattered around campus, and some things that just can't quite be explained. In general, world building is a process. You don't necessarily have to have everything mapped out right from the get-go, but it's good to consider a number of different factors when crafting a new world. Hopefully this video has been helpful. Feel free to ask questions in the comments, and I will see you next time. Have a wonderful day.